What's your name? What band are you in? Just kidding, just kidding. Ross from Immolation, always a pleasure. I wanted to talk about the songwriting with Bob, but maybe you could answer on his behalf.
I could, yeah.
I'm not saying that he's an egomaniac, but when I kept hearing about the way he writes songs, he has a drum machine that he programs.
Yes.
And that's not an easy task because of the off timing. But are the other musicians in the band, you included, people who follow what he writes, or is it really a process of everyone involved?
Well, Bob's been the main songwriter since the very beginning, so he's pretty much written everything for the band since the beginning. That being said, if he delivers something to us that we're not happy with, or we think, sounds like something else, or just not down with it, he's fine with that. He'll change it. So it's not like that. There's no ego or anything involved like that. It's one of those things where, like, if it's not broken, you don't need to fix it. I think he's an amazing songwriter. I never really have any problems with about 99% of the stuff that he delivers to us. So the way the process usually works is, like, you know, when an album cycle is done, he'll just sit down at home and just start coming up with riffs and parts, and he'll start arranging them. And what he'll usually do is he'll send me a demo first, which just consists of his scratch guitar tracks, and sometimes there'll be multiple guitar layers because, as you know, our stuff has a lot of layered guitars. So he'll try to, lay that down the best he can, and he'll program just some more simplistic drums, just so we get an idea of tempo, how the songs are moving, what parts are fast, what parts are slow, that type of thing. So the drums are really a template, and they're pretty basic. They'll have some rolls and stuff in there, but obviously when we hand that off to Steve, he completely will rewrite that, keeping the basics in mind. So, you know, he's not going to alter how the flow is, but he will obviously create his own drum parts, his own fills. He'll add all his own stuff in there. So what Bob usually lays down is just that template for him to kind of, I guess, to understand how the song moves, basically. So that's how it goes. I mean, and like I said, 99.9% of the stuff that Bob's handing off to me in the beginning, I'll listen to, and I'm usually, wow, this is great. So I never really have any problems with that, you know. So like I said, if there are things that we're not happy with, Bob's totally fine with changing it. You know, he wants everybody to kind of be happy with what he's writing, you know what I'm saying? And he's super overly critical of himself, to the point where sometimes he'll have something and I'll listen to it and I'm like, wow, that's great, why aren't you using that? And he'll say, I don't know, I don't think it's that great. I'm like, nah, dude, that's on fire. You should fucking throw that in there. And he'll listen. So I think he's even more critical of himself than we are, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, most of the time, whatever demos I'm getting from him, I'm really enjoying.
This album feels like the entire album has a flavor, and it's very aggressive, whereas, you know, your earlier work had some, like especially Dawn of Possession, had the doomy flavor.
Yes.
It was all over the place, but this one seems like there was a common thread. Do you want to address that?
Yeah, it's definitely certainly a much darker album, and it's, yes, a much more aggressive album, for sure. I don't know if he intended it that way. When he starts the process, I don't really think he knows where it's going to take him, to be honest, you know? And it's one of those things where, like, for example, the first song he wrote for this record was Noose of Thorns. And that starts off with a very slow, big, kind of epic part, and it ends with that same section. But what's in between those two heavy parts is just explosive, and it's all over the place, you know? And that kind of set the pace. I mean, that was a very dark song, and that kind of set the tone for the rest of the songs. The second song he wrote for the album was Shed the Light, which, you know, starts with that weird kind of beginning section where the drums are kind of very bizarro, and it has a really unique flow to it. So those are the two songs that he started out with, you know, and as he progressed, you know, I think things just became much, you know, more intense, more aggressive, more sinister. But again, I think that's just the natural evolution from song to song, you know. And what happens is he'll get to a point and he'll say, well, I have a couple of slower mid-pace songs, and you know, we'll all say, yeah, we need something a little more, you know, a little more punch to it, something faster, something more dynamic. So he'll register that, and he'll, you know, try to come up with songs that are, you know, faster and more aggressive. He's always good at writing. He always has ample, slow, mid-pace stuff on the back burner. A ton of that stuff. It's writing fast parts that are dark and heavy and are good. Those are always very challenging for him. But I think he does a great job with it. It takes some time. We had the luxury of having extra time for this one for obvious reasons. You know, nobody anticipated like the world to shut down, so that allowed us that extra time to kind of really, you know, take our time, and he didn't feel the pressure of deadlines and that kind of nonsense. So, but yes, it is a very aggressive album, a very dark album, a very you know, for sure, I agree.
It also seems that this is your most layered and rich album.
Yeah, well, I just think that came with becoming better songwriters. You know, with each album, you take a lot of things from each release, and you know what you really liked and what you don't really like and what you don't want to repeat. So we at least try from release to address the issues on the previous release that we weren't happy with. Atonement was a hard one to follow because, you know, we were very happy with Atonement. It was received really well, and I thought all around it was a really good album. But I think this one, you know, in a lot of ways has topped Atonement in so many ways as far as being more aggressive. I think the songwriting on this one is more concise, more to the point, and a lot more layers. Each song, I think, on this record is a standalone, but each song also, I think, has all of those elements. You know, the fast, the slow, the haunting, the moody, and again, multiple layers. And I think that's what makes this album more interesting. And the production helps with that too. I mean, being able to hear those layers and distinguish the different parts, and you know, hearing what the instruments are doing, you know, helps. Of course.
You departed a bit from the anti-Christian or anti-religious lyrics,
Yes.
but you came back. Why?
We did. Well, just because it's all over the fucking news. It's all you know, every day during the pandemic, you know, I'd read some fucked up shit about the church, some kind of bullshit, you know, whether it's, you know, pedophile priests or this or that, or just the general fanaticism surrounding religion or institutionalized religion in general. So, you know, we stepped away from it around 9/11, and we kind of, you know, broadened our scope, you know, of things we honed in on, you know, around the world and just socially and a lot of different things. And there, again, there's a lot of that on this record, but yeah, we definitely came full circle and went back to the more anti-religious themes, for sure. And nothing we're saying on this record is you know, far-fetched or, you know, it's all real. I mean, each song has a specific idea behind it, and these are all things that are happening, you know, in the world, and things that, you know, we've read about, and things that just really stick in your craw, you know. And you know, for example, you know, in Close to World Below, we wrote the song "Father, You're Not a Father," which was about, you know, priests abusing children, and you know, we find ourselves like 20 years later, and that's still a thing. It's still rampant, you know. It's happening right in the Vatican, right under the Pope's nose, you know, with you know, altar boys there and stuff like that. So yeah, these are things that are just like, you know, still happening, and it's just disgusting, you know. So whether you're a religious person or not, you can't look at these things and say, yeah, everything's cool, you know, let's ignore it and, you know, look away, you know. You can't, you know. So these are things that we touched on with this record. So.
know that you and Bob are not stuck in one style of listening choice.
No.
As humans, you listen to a variety of songs.
Sure.
But I'm wondering if you, as death metal people, were influenced a little bit by black metal, because there's some dissonant chords on the album that made me wonder, is that an Immolation chord, or is it because you've been listening to black metal?
I think we always kind of straddle that line between death metal and black metal. I think the darkness and that just cold feeling comes from more that black metal side. I mean, we all came up from the same roots. So I loved early Bathory. To me, Bathory was the band that kind of like established the black metal scene, you know, in my opinion, you know. Just like, you know, to me, Possessed was the band that kind of, you know, was the band for me that kind of established the death metal scene, or the sound at least, you know, for me. Some people would argue it was Death, Scream, Bloody Gore, and I would say, you know, in some ways, yes, but for us it was Possessed, you know, Seven Churches, and Bathory would be the band on the other side of the coin for me, and I loved all that stuff, and I still love, you know, a lot of black metal bands. I mean, we've done a ton of tours in Europe with Marduk, for example, you know. I love Marduk. Great guys, just sick band, and when we tour with them, that pairing is great. It's a great package, you know, because you get the best of both worlds. You know, and all of us, whether you're a black metal person or a death metal person, we all came from the same place. We all came up listening to Slayer and Venom and all the earlier darker thrash bands in Germany, whether it's Destruction and Sodom and Creator and all that stuff. So we all came from the same place, you know, with Maiden and Judas Priest and that stuff prior to that. So we all came from the same place. We just took it in different directions once we all started, you know. So whether you're on the black metal side of the fence or the death metal side of the fence, I think we're all coming from the same origins.
We had to move this interview outside because of the band playing.
So change the scenery.
Yeah, change of scenery.
So getting back to what I was saying, so yeah, we all pretty much came from the same roots. It's just where we took it from that place. And I love both worlds, you know. I love when death metal's done right. It has that very just sick, heavy, oppressive, dark, haunting feel. And when black metal is done right, it has that same kind of vibe to me. It's just different. It's just more. I don't know. It's colder to me. You know. It just has. It's a different take on that blackness and that haunting feel. You know. But I love it all, though. You know.
There is a rumor that you left the band, and then Bob asked Dan Lilker to play bass and sing, and then you came back, you forgave Bob for whatever argument you had, and you felt bad telling Dan, sorry, you're not in Immolation anymore, but you can do some guest vocals on the track. Is that what happened?
Is that a real rumor? Or you just
no, I just made it up.
I know, no. We're real tight with Dan. Dan's a close friend of ours. We've obviously we're fans of everything Danny has done, you know, from the early days of, you know, Anthrax to SOD to Nuclear Assault, you know, Brutal Truth. It's when we actually got to know Danny really well. It was on the Cannibal tours in 96 and 97 where Brutal Truth was part of that package with us. And, you know, just touring with Danny and getting to know him in that sense was awesome, you know, because for a guy who's just, you know, such a legend to all of us, and, you know, he's not that kind of guy, so we say that around him, he's like, yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying? He's a real humble guy, but, you know, he's a big deal to us, you know. So what happened was, when we were in the studio, the way it happened was kind of funny, actually. Danny just randomly said, hey, dude, he's like, check this scream out, maybe you could use it on the record, you know, just kind of, you know, fucking around, you know. And he sent this sick, like, black metal screen, and we were like, oh, we could definitely use that. So Bob's like, oh yeah, he's like, have him do a longer one and we'll definitely use it. So I said, hey man, I said, no joke, send me one that's send me a nice long fucking 6 scream, give me 110% of that. And he did, he just sent it to us, and we were in the studio and we knew exactly where we were gonna use it. We used it on the song Let the Darkness In, right at the end there where I do the scream into that last section. And we put those 2 screams together and it just worked out great, you know, just because of what's going on at that part of the song, what the song's about. So it was just really cool. And for us, it was just awesome to have Danny part of that. Because I know Danny's a huge fan and he loves fucking extreme music, whether it's grindcore or death metal or black metal. He's a huge black metal fan, no joke, and he is like the real deal, man. So yeah, it was awesome to have him, you know, part of that for sure, man.
When last we spoke, Dawn of Possession was in limbo, and you said that Monty Connor was helping you find the rights, help you win back the rights to it.
Yeah, well, Monty is still, you know, a close friend of ours, and he did actually reach out to the people. I think Sony absorbed all the Roadrunner stuff, Sony Music, so he did actually put us in touch with the people over there, just so we could at least get our hands on the original contract and stuff like that. So, yeah, unfortunately, they still own that. So.
Did you sign a contract foolishly? Because bands tell me that their contracts only last 10 years and then rights revert back to them.
It depends. We had a lawyer who negotiated that first contract for us back in the day, so we didn't make any stupid moves, but again, you know, as a young band, first album, we couldn't really call too many shots, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, we had certain things that were in our favor and certain things that were, you know, not so much in our favor. But overall, it wasn't a horrible deal. And at the end of the day, Monty and Roadrunner were pretty gracious to let us out of our contract, you know. After we recorded and put out the first record, we did our first tour, and we had some issues, which, you know, honestly, in retrospect, we know it stemmed from just us being green. We didn't really understand the business. We were young kids at the time. I mean, we knew you back then. We were all young kids. We were like teenagers. So none of us knew how this worked. You know, we came from, you know, recording demos locally and playing local shows and having fun at rehearsals with our friends to like all of a sudden be on a big record label. So it was a little overwhelming for us, and we really didn't know what to expect or how to play it. So yeah, we made a lot of mistakes back then, you know what I'm saying? With that, we went down there after that and we told Monty, hey, we're not happy, we don't want to be on the label anymore. And they let us out of like a 5-album deal, which is unheard of, which is really unheard of, you know. And, you know, we talk to Monty even now to this day, and we'll kind of have a good laugh over that, and he'll bust our balls. He's like, you know, you guys were the only band who came in here and you were adamant about not being on the label, and we saw it in your eyes, and we just said, let's let these guys go, man, what's the point, they're not happy here. And they really, you know, they graciously let us out of our deal, you know, which maybe in retrospect maybe wasn't the right move, you know what I'm saying? We probably should have stayed with Roadrunner and kind of like at least proceeded with another record or two to see how things went. But, you know, we were young and stubborn, and we were like, nah, we don't want any part of it, you know. So what happened was, we, you know, you bite your nose to spite your face type of thing. We found ourselves without a record deal for 5 years. So how good did that do us, you know what I'm saying? Luckily, we got to, you know, sign a deal with Metal Blade, you know, and have that second album out. But it was a 5-year gap. So that was, you know, we lost a lot of steam and momentum during that 5 years. So it sucked for us. So, you know, be careful what you wish for type thing, you know?
I'd like to send this one out to our good friend from up New York, who's down here now, Mr. Bill Zebyub, for always being a recorder and supporting us.
I don't know if you'll agree with me, but I don't think Dawn of Possession needs a remaster. But do you think that maybe if you want the rights back, would you release Dawn of Possession also with the Stepping on Angels, the demos?
I don't think, I agree with you. I don't know if I'd want to remaster it. I think it sounds good the way it is.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah.
Does not need a remaster.
No, yeah, I agree with you there. So I would agree 100% there. It would be cool to do a combo kind of release if we could. We're actually looking at doing, Stepping on Angels again on our own, with some extra stuff. We recorded a 3-song demo that was shopped around in between Dawn of Possession and Here and After that had 3 Here and After songs on it. So we would include that demo, which we recorded down in South Jersey back in the early 90s, between 92 and 96. I don't remember when exactly. And it was where, Chris Forbes,
Yep.
It was with his brother, so he recorded the demo for us. So we would include that on there, and if we re-release Stepping on Angels, and But I don't know if we would combine them, but not a bad idea,
Or maybe record some classic songs the way you sing now. That's the next question, by the way. You got more brutal with every album. What the hell's going on with you?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Must be the New York water. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we re-recorded an Immolation for the Decibel Flexi series, and we decided to use Harris Johns for that because it just made sense. Harris is still a good friend of ours, and he's just an iconic producer, but just a really nice guy, man. Awesome dude. And for our first experience going to Berlin to record that first album, we were very fortunate to have a guy like Harris, as our mentor and as our first experience in the studio, because he was super patient, he was super kind, and I think it was a real positive experience for us because we were very, we were obviously nervous, and it was a big deal to us, So he kind of, it was the right fit for us. Let's just put it that way. So when we re-recorded the song for the Flexi, we recorded Immolation. We said, let's go use Harris for that. So, and that's what we did. We recorded the song in Millbrook Studios where we did the Atonement record, but we sent that one song to Harris, and I thought he did a great job, with the mix mastering for that one. So.
Back then,
Yeah.
I was excited when it was announced that you were going to release Dawn of Possession, but I didn't understand at the time why you didn't go with Scott Burns.
Right.
And I think you made a wise choice.
Yeah, it wasn't, and to be clear.
Not to knock him.
No, exactly, and that's what I was just going to say. To be clear, Scott Burns, I think, was the first guy to take this music and show people how it could sound produced well. So I thought he did an amazing job with everything he did, The reason why we chose Harris, and we had, Scott Burns was one of the choices we had, and Colin Richardson was the other choice that we had, in addition to Harris Johns. Colin Richardson at that time had done Carcass's Symphonies of Sickness, which was sick. And
I agree.
We thought that was sick production, amazing. I love that record. But, we had a soft spot for all the German bands that I mentioned earlier, Sodom and Creator did Pleasure to Kill with him. Sodom went there. Voivod did Killing Technology there. So these are bands that, we, really fucking loved. And these were the bands that were inspiring to us. So for us, it was a no-brainer to go to that studio with those bands recorded, you know what I'm saying? And that's why we chose Harris. It wasn't, a lot of people were going down to Morris Sound, and what was happening even then in the early stages, a lot of those albums were very similar sounding. So I think we made the wise choice in the sense that Dawn of Possession definitely doesn't sound like anything that came out around that time. It is a very unique sound, and that's kind of what we were shooting for, And it had a very heavy, dark, haunting sound, and that's what we wanted. We weren't looking for something that was as polished as the Morris Sound style, but something that was well produced, but in a big, way that had feeling as well,
Plus, the way Tom drummed, it wasn't just double bass constantly.
Yeah, Craig. You mean Craig?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Craig. Yeah, yeah. Right. No, exactly. It wasn't all blast. We didn't do any blast beats back then. He was very much inspired by Kim Ruz, Merciful Fate, and Mickey D and those players. So you hear a lot of that in Craig's playing on that record. That finesse and that style with the toms, and so that's what we were more all about. And you hear, man, those toms on that record are like cannons. They have the reverb and they just sound so deep and warm. And that's what we were shooting for, really.
Well, another what goes around comes around kind of question is you came back to, I don't know if ridiculing is a word, but criticizing is better, religion.
Yeah.
But Here and After was a crazy album. And then after that, you became a little bit more straightforward, but now you're crazy again. What happened?
I agree. And I think the reason why Here and After and even Failures for God is even crazier in a lot of ways. And I think we were just simply just finding our way. We were just, we were becoming the songwriters we would later become, Bob was, and we were learning how to put together a song that worked, like on those albums in particular, there are a lot of great parts and a lot of great sections that come and go, and you don't really get to enjoy them. You don't get to absorb them, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff, there's too much stuff, in these songs, and that's just how they were put together, we didn't understand that. Yeah, you could have a good section and you could, maximize it without overdoing it, When we hit Close to a World Below, we were learning how to maximize sections, but we didn't know how to make them work well to serve the song, you know what I'm saying? So we'd have sections that would go like 15 rounds without anything going on in there, you know what I'm saying? And that's, so we learned a lot from trial and error, of course. This album, I guess you could say we went kind of back to the crazy, but I think the songs are written better compared to those songs. I think the songs, as crazy as they are, they're more concise and they flow well. Dynamically, they're really cool. And I think, they all serve the album, you know what I'm saying? They don't kind of work against each other. And the album flows really well. So, if nothing else, they may be crazy, but they work. And I think the album has a nice flow to it, as opposed to some of the earlier stuff.
Am I the only person you talk to who jerks off to the end of The Devil I Know?
Oh, probably. No, the one thing that I find is no matter who I talk to, everybody has a different album that they enjoy. Everybody has a different song off of those albums that they like, and it's all across the board. So I can never predict what someone's going to like. I'll have someone come and be, oh, I love you guys. I've been listening to you guys since, blank album, and this album is my favorite, and I'm like, wow, I didn't see that one coming. It would be like an album I wouldn't have picked. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I mean. Everybody latches on to something different in our catalog, which I think is cool. It's not like an overwhelming consensus, like, oh, your first album is your best and everything else is shit, or your last album is the best, everything else is shit. People like different parts of our catalog, which I think is cool. So at least we've done something right in that aspect. In that regard.
By the way, I met someone online for your merch table today who did the same thing I did. Bought 3 different Dawn of Possession shirts in case you never make them again. Oh, so one's worn and the other 2 are back up.
No, we always bring back the old stuff. I mean, listen, we're fans too, so we understand that, there's a lot of younger fans who didn't have access to that stuff back in the day, who didn't get to see us back in the day. So yeah, it's always cool, and there's always like, guys like us who are older who had those shirts back in the day, and we're definitely not fitting into those shirts, so we got to get the larger sizes now. so we understand that, so we always bring back the old designs, and those are some of our best sellers, man. People who really embrace the old stuff, so we're fortunate in that sense.
You did a cover of Satan's Fall.
Yes.
That's on Listenable Records.
Yep.
Are you that good friends with Laurent where he would let you use that song for a bonus track on something else of yours?
Well, when we did that, it was for the Merciful Fate tribute compilation that he did, So that was the reason why we did that, and we picked that song because it's just a great song. It's like one of the most epic songs, So we love that album. Melissa is just fucking from start to finish. It's a great album, and that song was just a really cool song, and it was a challenge to kind of recreate. I mean, we kind of took some liberties and, did things a little bit differently, which I don't think King Diamond was too happy with.
No, it was Hank Sherman who didn't like it.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
He wasn't happy, okay.
King Diamond didn't hear it.
Oh, okay. So, but anyway.
By the way, King Diamond, Necropolis did a tribute to King Diamond, and they advertised it as officially sanctioned by King Diamond.
Okay.
He said, no, it's not. but he's not mad. He likes that.
Well, even if he hates it, we still love everything the guy has done. I mean, Merciful Fate was a huge inspiration to us. As you know, we talked endlessly about Merciful Fate back in the day and the King Diamond stuff, and I still to this day think that's some of the best stuff to come out at that time, man. Just such well-played records. I mean, between that, Don't Break the Oath, and the EP, I mean, just great. I mean, each one is completely different, but each one is great in its own way. They had a great style and just a great way of capturing just such a creepy feeling, you know, and it's just so well done, man. And they were great musicians, all of them. So yeah, huge inspiration on us. We love the band, you know. So sorry if they hate our cover.
No. It was just Hank Sherman who I guess he's not a death metal guy.
Yeah.
Because remember he had some kind of glam songs in the past.
And that's understood, and that's fine, man. We know what we do.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's an acquired taste. Not everybody's gonna like what we do, you know. So that's fine.
But other bands cite your band as the most brutal when it comes to touring. You will sacrifice your own comfort to get stuff done.
Yeah,
we cut
have.
corners.
We have, yeah. We have. We're fucking road dogs. I mean, we're still traveling in a van right now with a trailer. Bob and I are so hands-on. It's not even funny. I mean, we're tour managing. You know, we're doing everything for this tour.
Yeah, that's really the question. You manage your own tour.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we're tour managing for the other bands. We got 2 young bands on the tour that we love. They're just awesome people and great bands. You know, Imperial Triumphant from Brooklyn, very unique band. I think they fit really well on this. Something completely different. And Mortifium, to me, embraces like that earlier sick, heavy death metal that we all loved back in the day. And we've had this talk with those guys. They're younger guys, but I said to them, you know, this is the kind of stuff that attracted us to this music, what you're doing now. So to me, it's cool that they're giving a nod to that earlier sound and style that we embraced back then. So we have 2 bands and they haven't really done full tours. So, you know, we're trying to, you know, school them and show them the ropes and show them how a tour should be run properly. And, you know, we're taking care of the guys and we're showing them, hey, this is how it should be. You know what I'm saying? And they're good guys. They're very appreciative. They help out every night. They're happy to be on the tour. They're fans. And it's a good vibe. I mean, you strive for that. You want a positive vibe on the tour where everybody clicks, everybody helps out. There's no egos, no rock stars. We all share everything. And that's the way it should be. That's how touring should be. And that being said, touring is not easy. It's very difficult, you know, especially we're in our 50s now. So it's definitely not easy. So we have kind of softened a little bit in the sense that we'll get hotels every night now, so we're not killing ourselves, you know, driving like idiots and staying at rest stops. You know, those days are gone, but that's only up until recent. I mean, the last tour we did before this one was in 2019. We had Blood Incantation out with us, and we did 41 dates straight in the U.S., no days off, in a van, and it was fucking brutal. But you know what? It was awesome.
But that's something that I want you to share with people. You showed me your van. You and Bob configured your van to hold 10 million people in the van.
Yeah, we have in our van, it's a 15-passenger van. It just has the 2 front seats for the driver and the passenger and the bench. Behind that, we build a platform, and we have just you know, memory foam and foam pads up there. So it's like huge bed up top and a huge bed on bottom. So you have a place to chill, stretch out, lay down, relax on a long drive. Like we had a long drive from Orlando to Houston. It's a 14-hour ride. So what we did is Bob and I drove straight 14 hours. We just took shifts. Bob and I do all the driving too, you know. So another hat we wear. So we did all the driving so we can get into town early so everybody can get a hotel. And we had 2 days of hotels in the same spot where everybody could sleep, shower, recoup, recharge. It's important. You need that on the road. So I don't mind putting it in the time and going overtime driving so we can get to the show, to the place early so we could rest. So yes, our van is set up. And yeah, we're totally DIY, old school, but you know, that's how we roll.
Now for a serious question. Is it possible if you and I get blood tests and we find that we're compatible for donors, could you donate your scalp if you die before I do? Because my hairline isn't as healthy as yours.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you know, the day will come when I will definitely donate, you know, my hair to one of the charities.
No, me.
Oh, okay, to the Bill Zebbub charity.
But what is it? Does that go in your family? Is it a genetic thing, or?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm fortunate. You know.
But not only do you have a healthy hairline, it grows until you cut it. It just doesn't stop.
Yeah. My girlfriend, you know, gives me a trim, you know, every month or so. You know, I'm just like, hey, I need a trim now. It's like, you know, I'm tripping over it now. Just can you do something with it? So she takes care of it for me.
The vocalist of Fleshgrind unfortunately died, and the difference between he and you, not to say anything bad about him because I love that guy and I hate that a god of vocalists died. Because I don't know if you like Fleshgrind musically, but vocally, he was a god. But the difference between you and that guy is he went on tour in Europe, and when people were bootlegged his shirts, he just picked them up off the table and said, "This is mine." However, you were in Mexico and you saw bootlegs that impressed you because every part of the fabric had screen printing on it.
Yeah.
The sleeves, everything.
Yeah.
And you did not have a heart attack over somebody bootlegging you.
No, I mean, if someone's going out of their way, now listen, I understand. It's, you know, things are way different in Mexico, you know. For fans down there to get access to stuff that we have here is very difficult, very costly. They don't have the money for it, you know, shipping, all that stuff. So I get it. So if they could recreate that for themselves as fans and do it in a brilliant way, I think that's awesome. You know, I mean, it only, you know, it just tells me that these people are fucking such diehard fans that they're willing to print up shirts, you know, for their friends and whoever, you know, that's fine. You know, whatever. You know, it's not the hill I want to die on, so to say. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, before we could get access to cool shirts, we had one store in, you know, north of Yonkers that Will from Mortician and I used to go to all the time. And they would always get, like, in, like, you know, the first time we saw a Metallica shirt, just had the Metallica logo around the Ride the Lightning era. And we were like, wow. You know, but you couldn't get anything, you know, it was very difficult. So we actually had a friend of my aunt at the time was able to do silk screening in her house. And my aunt's like, hey, she could do a shirt for you guys if you want. So we had her do Morbid Tales, the cover of Morbid Tales, just the red, the what was it, the heptagram or whatever, from the cover of that. And we made like 10 of those, and it was just for us. It was for me, Will, and, you know, our circle of friends. We didn't sell them, you know what I'm saying? We put the money in and we made it. Now, you know, maybe Tom Warrior would fucking have a heart attack over them, like, oh, you know, copyright infringement. But, you know, it was a fan kind of thing. You know, we were trying to, you know, have access to something we didn't have access to, and so we took it in our own hands and made it ourselves. It wasn't a commercial venture to make money. It was just something that a passion, you know, a fan's passion, you know, led to. So that's the way I see it, you know, and, you know, for some of the kids who were doing this in Mexico, and they did an amazing job. I got a couple of those shirts. I actually go up to the guys like, oh, that's great. Could you spare one? And they would, you know, be gracious and give us, you know.
Yeah, you showed me one, and I wanted to buy it.
Sick, right?
So,
Sick.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you know, you can't be a dick about shit like that. I mean, yeah, not everything's about fucking money. You know what I'm saying?
You have toured the world. I don't know if you've really gone into the Eastern Bloc,
yes.
but you know the band Nevermore.
Yeah.
They played Bulgaria, knowing that it was at a loss because they had fans there.
Yeah.
And even places like Czech Republic, Slovakia, an average person just has enough money to buy a ticket, have a beer, have cigarettes. One person buys your CD, and then 20 people copy it.
Yeah.
But in America, people copy because they're assholes.
Yeah, no, I mean, we played in Sofia, Bulgaria. I think that's the city. Yeah. And we only played there once. It was amazing. The fans there were awesome. They were so gracious. They were so happy that we were there. I think we were there with Marduk, actually. So, you know, because we talked about that earlier. And that was a great tour. We played in Serbia for the first time on that tour. We had a lot of firsts on that tour. But yeah, we did a lot of, I mean, we play Czech all the time now. We Brutal Assault and Obscene Extreme, and it's one of the, you know, the stops we always hit now. It was much more difficult back in the day, of course, like you said, but yeah, but we understand that. I mean, it's about sharing your music with your fans, you know what I'm saying? That's what it's about, man. It's about, you know, we love going to new places and experiencing new things and meeting new people, you know. We find people are people, you know, people the same no matter where you go, you know, especially in the music community, you know what I'm saying? And that's why you see so much divisiveness, you know, in our world over politics and religion and shit like that. And, you know, and at the end of the day, you know, we've been fortunate to have seen so many of these places, you know, and seen it from a unique perspective, not in a touristy sense, but in a metal sense. And I think metal fans get that, you know, when you're anywhere in the world and you see fucking metalheads, it's like the brotherhood is there, you know what I'm saying? All that other shit, all those fucking divisions and all the bullshit goes away. It's not about that. It's about
There's no racial or religious
no,
boundary.
No. It's about the music, and it's about coming together, and that's what's so unique about music. It is truly unifying. It's a unifying force, and I think the world would be a better place if if it had more of that.
By the way, are you mostly upset about the Ukraine situation because of the great doom that's in Ukraine?
The great what?
Doom metal.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate, man. Nobody wants to see war. At this point in our evolution, the fact that we even have to worry about war is just insane. I mean, have we evolved as a species? I don't think we have, to be honest with you.
I don't think so.
Humanity is going backwards, and this is a case in point right here. You know what I'm saying? When you have to rely on blowing shit up and killing people to settle differences, we have not evolved. We've gone backwards. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather spend my time with animals.
But isn't war the rule and peace the exception?
Yeah, unfortunately. Well, because you know why? War makes money. War is a moneymaker. What generates billions and billions of dollars? It's the war industry. So when there's a chance for people to fucking make money hand over fist, yeah, they're gonna go that route always, because money's the only thing that matters in our world today, and it's just fucking sad. It really is.
Too bad you can't bootleg war. There are immolation isms, slang.
Oh yeah.
And
there's been a lot over the years.
Yeah, so there's you might have said that leaf blower was a Cannibal Corpse word.
No. Cannibal Corpse had a lot of our isms we got on Cannibal Corpse. Leaf blower was just a stupid thing we threw out of you during that interview.
Okay.
But like Cannibal, for example, Cannibal started, I believe, funnel. Funnel was a great one, you think of a funnel, and everything kind of siphons down in a funnel, So, for example, when we toured with them in '96 in Europe, if we had a low turnout show, it would be a funnel, because it wasn't that great, If we had a great show with a sold out crowd, it'd be a skyrocket. So, funnel was just had that negative connotation to it. Another one we got from them was lemon. Alex started, I forgot how that started, but he just said lemon about a certain things. Again, negative connotation, that's a lemon, So we kind of latched onto that. So, we stole some of their isms, and we kind of like ran with them. But, they always had some great shit.
You've been there from the beginning, and I don't want to be one of the grandpas who say that metal was best when we were at that age, but it really seems like most of the magic happened back then, because I'm wondering what would make someone young now start a death metal band. Because when I try to explain to people things that they consider irritating, like, let's say, remember tape trading?
Yeah.
You would actually, in real time, record your tape, send it, wait 2 weeks for a reply.
Yeah.
But it was magic, right?
It was.
And
it was like Christmas every day when you got a package from Europe or wherever, South America, or, it was great.
But you know this more than I do because you're actually in the band. What's better for networking and a community of metal? Is it now with the right-click culture and the internet, or the tape trading days?
Well, we didn't have the internet back then, so we had to make do with what we had. Our internet became tape trading and passing out the little ads that we would get in the letters, and you'd send those out with your letters, and that's how you networked. You networked by trading tapes and sending your demo out to fanzines, and then when you got that fanzine back, you'd find other fanzines to write to, or you'd learn about other bands. So that was our network. That was our quote-unquote internet before the internet. So we made do with what we had. Kids today have the internet is an amazing tool, to network, to reach out to people instantly, to hear stuff instantly. Does it create laziness? I'm sure it does, because people, I think, sometimes are reluctant to go out and support bands, or because they can get everything at home. They don't have to leave their computer. But at the same time, it does foster a lot of growth. And I think the scene is, like for example, for these bands, like for Mortiferum and Imperial Triumphant, for them, they're huge fans. The Mortiferum guys, like, singer Max, was it the singer? No, it was Alex, the drummer, had on an Abhorrence demo shirt. Abhorrence from Finland. You remember that demo? He had a shirt. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. What? I'm like, first of all, I'm amazed that you have that shirt. Second of all, I'm amazed that you even know this band. But when you listen to Mortiferum, you hear that influence in what they do. And I think it's great. The creepy guitar melodies, the just overly heavy, oppressive guitar sound. It's amazing. So for them, they're just as passionate as we were, except that they have more tools at their disposal to get their music out there in a bigger way. So if we had the internet back then, believe me, we'd be all over it. We'd be like, fuck the IRCs, we're fucking using the internet, you know what I'm saying? So that's how we would have done it.
If I may say something, I remember you saying throughout the years that Dawn of Possession was an album of your influences, but I heard pure originality in Dawn of Possession.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So this is a multi-question question. That was unique, even though you do say that was a lot of influences for you, and you definitely stuck to an Immolation sound. When Immolation plays, everyone knows it's Immolation. You've got a distinct sound, and there are a lot of copycats in all the forms of music, whether it's death metal or black metal. So the things that I have to say about you is you're original, and you're not afraid of working hard, and you sacrifice comfort in your tours.
Yeah.
That's not common in bands, is it?
The thing is, like, let's face it, this music, it's not like you're making a ton of money. We've all had full-time jobs up until the last couple of years, and that to me was a huge step forward. But that being said, we still don't make enough to afford a nightliner, Could we pay for a nightliner at this point? We probably could, but we'd come home with no money, you know what I'm saying? So, I look at it this way. I'd rather work a little bit harder, make a few more sacrifices, and make sure all the guys and crew get paid nicely, and we could all go home, have a great tour, have fun, be somewhat comfortable, and still come home with money in our pockets, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the goal, And when getting back to the earlier part of the question, when I said that about the influences, what I meant was, since that was our first record, I think most of, that record was written from when did we start, in 88? So from 88 to when that album came out in 91, that was 3 years of just us learning how to write songs and creating, I guess, creating that foundation for where we later kind of springboarded, off of, into the second album and third album. And believe me, it took us a while before we felt comfortable in what we were doing, but we never lost sight of what we were when we started and what we wanted to achieve, and maintaining the essence of who we were. And I've said that, throughout our entire career, that was always important for us to have an identity, where people could hear us and know, hey, that's Immolation, and that was always important for us back in the day, If nothing else, we knew that was important. We didn't have anything else together, but we knew at least that much. So at least we had that going for us, so.
And will we have to wait 3 years for the next album?
Yeah, well, hopefully not. Well, we'll be busy for this record, so that's a good thing, So we figured, a few more songs after 5 years is warranted, so a longer record.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time, Mr. Ross.
Absolutely, Bill, always, man. Always a pleasure, brother.
Oh, do you want to give contact information? Because this is going to go out live on YouTube. Tell people you're touring.
Yeah, well, we're out on tour right now. For first tour for the Acts of God album with a Mortiferum from the Northwest, from up in Washington State, and from with Imperial Triumphant from Brooklyn, New York. It's a great package. 5 shows before the end. Imperial Triumphant unfortunately has to drop off. But we have our good friends from Brooklyn, Black Anvil, jumping on. So we're excited to have them for the last week of shows. So that'll be awesome. And then we do the big show in New York at Irving Plaza, which is fucking epic. To me, the most epic lineup. you know, with us, Demolition Hammer, Mortician, Black Anvil, and Funeral Leech. So that to me is like an all New York show with 3 like Yonkers bands that were there from the beginning. So it's a fucking great show, man. I'm psyched for that.
I forgot who you played with at the Gramercy, but that must have felt good for you because it was packed to the hill. And you know the Gramercy, they have stadium seating in the back.
Yeah, yeah.
And your mom came to that show.
My mom always comes out, you know. She's 92 this year, and she's coming out to the Irving Plaza show. My whole family is coming out, you know, and they love it. I mean, you know, for a woman in her 90s, she's still got it up here. She's sharp, she's very active, and you know, she just still very supportive of what we do. You know, us crazy kids.
And you want me to put the contact information from the album?
Yeah, I mean, we don't get a ton of emails from fans at this point.
No dick pics?
Yeah, no dick pics, sorry.
All right, thanks, Ross.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill.
Dominated her, dominated her,